Hi everybody, Marco Carvalho here from businesscreditblogger.com. Today's video we're going to talk about business credit card requirements. We're going to talk about how to get approved for business credit cards, how to get the highest credit limits possible. We're going to talk about the top 10 factors that impact business credit card funding. So if you're planning to go through our business credit card funding program, this is the video for you. We're going to share with you 10 very important ingredients that the bank card issuers, underwriters, what they look for and what's going to impact your business credit card approvals when you go through our process. So let's get started. First and foremost, why business credit card funding? Why is it that you as a business owner, whether you're a startup or existing business, obviously there's many benefits on separating your personal and business expenses. It makes it easier during tax time. But from a credit perspective, it's so important for you to create a separation between your personal and business as far as using your credit expenses, because this protects you on a personal credit level. What I mean by that is you have to create a dividing line on credit reporting. The best business credit cards are credit cards you should use that only report to the business credit reporting agencies, because when you're using your business credit cards for your business, you're accumulating debt, you're making payments. Any debt you carry on those business credit cards, typically the majority of cards in the marketplace that are labeled as business credit cards report to your personal credit. So that impacts you in a negative way. If you're carrying $10,000 or plus in credit card debt for your business and it shows up on your personal credit, that's impacting your personal credit report, your personal credit scores. It impacts your ability to get personal funding. Let's say you're trying to get a mortgage to purchase a home, or you're trying to get an auto loan or a student loan, etc. So you want to create that separation. So you want to only get business credit cards that report your payment activity to the business credit agencies. That's what you accomplish through our business credit card funding program. We only get you cards that report to the business credit agencies. Now, there's no shortage of business credit cards all over the marketplace. You can find them anywhere. They're advertised everywhere. The key, though, is credit reporting. So although there's over 500 cards in the marketplace that are business credit cards, whether it's a regional bank or a bank card a national bank card issuer, only less than 100 report to the business credit reporting agencies only. So through our business credit card funding program, this is specifically designed for business owners. Whether you're a startup or an existing business, we set up 4 to 5 business credit cards for your company, and these are issued from either regional or national banks. Your combined credit limits are going to range anywhere from $25,000 to $150,000. We're going to share with you what those factors are. How do you get the maximum credit approvals? That's what we're going to share with you in this video, so stay tuned. The cards, depending on what the banks offer you, there's 4 to 5 that we select based on your credit criteria, which will give you the highest approvals, the best rates, the best offers. Many banks will offer you 0% intro offers on purchases for 6 to 15 months. Typically, for business credit card, annual interest rates will range anywhere from 9.9 to 15%. They may go as high as 19.9%, but what we're seeing is anywhere from 10 to 15% as far as your annual APRs. You have minimum monthly payments of 1 to 1.5%. That's a very small minimum payment if you're carrying debt on the cards. You also have the ability to pull cash out on your business credit cards. We are the only provider that also offers cash liquidation service. What that basically means is if you have to pull 100% cash out from your business credit cards, we're able to provide you that service. It's called cash liquidation. No other company offers that. We only report to the business credit reporting agency as far as the banks we place you with. This helps you as a business owner establish your credit file. So if you're worried, I don't have a business credit file established, I'm just getting started, how do I establish a business credit file? This particular program will help you establish a credit file, because the 4 to 5 cards that get issued to your business, these are bank issued cards, they will create your credit file because they report to Experian Commercial and sometimes Equifax Small Business. Now, if you're wondering, what about Dun & Bradstreet? Dun & Bradstreet receives data mainly from vendors, suppliers, retailers, equipment finance companies, where banks and lenders mainly report to Experian Commercial as well as Equifax Small Business. So it's important for you as a business owner to establish a credit file with all 3 major business credit reporting agencies. It's extremely important to do that. So we do have a video that covers how to add vendors to your business file, how to get net 30 accounts that report to DMB, etc. So be sure to check that out. Now, this will also create a credit rating for your business, and this will establish 4 to 5 banking relationships. The one thing to realize that getting 4 to 5 business credit cards is so important as a business because this creates relationships. You now want to have a relationship with bank number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are banks. As you use your cards for the business, you're establishing a payment history with that bank, a track record with that bank, so that bank can give you potential credit limit increases. They'll offer you additional funding. If you approach that bank for an additional card for the business or a loan for the business, guess what? You have a history with them. So this is another advantage to you to establish these relationships with the banks. And like I said, this will create a credit rating for your business. So what I want you to realize also is doing this in 30 days, you can have 4 to 5 business credit cards. Let's say you get $60,000 in credit card limits for the business in 30 days. That $60,000 in credit limit now reporting to your company's business credit report. So imagine when your company wants to go out and apply for additional credit or apply for a vendor line of credit, and they pull your report and they see you already have $60,000 in involving business credit cards issued to the company. That's very strong, and that's how they get a quick jump start in building a very strong business credit file. You'll see here in the bottom, businesscreditbuilders.org/pre-qualification. That's how you start the qualification process, so we can give you a free funding review and give you some projections on how much we can get you in business credit card funding. So what do you need to apply? What are the requirements to get business credit cards? First, you need to have a separate legal entity. You need to have a corporation or a limited liability company. That's number one. When you go through our funding process, you're going to be required to provide us the articles of incorporation or your certificate of formation. So make sure you have that document available. Your company must be in good standing. What happens is bank card issuers, they're underwriters. The first thing they do is they look up your company and the state it was incorporated in. So let's say you're incorporated in Florida, that you can go to your incorporations division for the state of Florida and do an entity search for your business. You can do this all online. Once you locate your business, click on it, and then your business will show up, and it'll show if your company's in active standing, and it'll show some of the who's the resident agent for the company, etc. So you have to make sure your company's in good standing. The next thing you're going to need is an employer identification number. You're going to need an EIN. This is assigned to you by the IRS. The IRS does send you a employer identification number. It's a letter. You need to supply us with that letter when you're going through our funding process. This is a requirement that the banks want to see. Business contact information, that's just general information, your business phone number, etc. You don't have to have a business website established. You don't have to be 401 listing. That's not a requirement for this funding program. You do need to have a business bank account. You want to have a bank account established because that's data we put on the credit apps for the banks. Now that you know this, how much business credit card funding does your business qualify for? That's the biggest question. How much can you get, and what things do you need to be aware of that can hurt your projections? So that's what we're going to get into, the top 10 factors that impact your business credit card funding. So we're talking about business credit card requirements here. So the first thing is your requirement is a credit score. You have to have a credit score, personal FICO scores of 680 or higher. You're probably wondering, well, why do I need to provide a personal credit check? The reason why is the banks are going to be assessing you as the business owner, your credit worthiness as a business owner, how you manage your personal credit, how you manage your personal finances is going to allow them to dictate how you're going to potentially manage your business credit cards. So that's how one of the main factors that play into the amount of credit limits they're going to extend to your new business, if it's a startup or an existing business. We're going to get into all those details here in this video. Okay, so now you're going to need this. You are going to be a PG on this. You are the co-signer for your business. Many people say, well, I don't want to provide a personal guarantee. How are you going to be able to get corporate credit cards with no PG? Your business has to be doing $3 million, $4 million or more a year in revenue to get no PGs. companies doing those type of revenues can easily get corporate credit cards with no PG. We did a video on that. Make sure you watch it. I'm going to put it up here on corporate credit cards versus business credit cards. There are some business credit cards you can get with no PG once you have a strong business credit file established. So this is the stepping stone. This is going to get you to where you need to be. Okay, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. So that's what most people want to do. They want to get in and get the no PG type of funding, and they don't have anything established yet. So you have to have strong revenues as a business. You have to have a strong business credit file as a business to even get certain types of funding that don't require a personal credit check. But there are funding programs out there. Here we're talking about how to leverage your good personal credit to start building a very strong credit file for your business quickly. Now, FICO scores, the latest version is what's most widely used by the banks when they're checking your FICO score, but that's not the only factor they're looking at. I think the latest model right now is FICO score 8. That's what's being used, but by the time you watch this video, there's probably going to be a FICO version 9 that's being more readily used, etc., etc., etc. But also another FICO score the banks use is the FICO bank card score. That's another most widely used score. So when you pull your report, you'll see some reports provide you your FICO auto score, your FICO bank card score. So you'll see there's over 50 FICO scores, and there's actually FICO scores that you can't even see, that they're only privy to lenders and banks, etc. But for business credit card funding, these are the two most widely used FICO scores. To get your FICO score and pull your report so you can start a review with us, go to creditreportengine.com. That'll take you to order your report. It only costs you $1, and you can get your FICO score as well as your report. Now, most people say, well, what about Credit Karma or Credit Sesame or Credit Wise? And the thing to realize that your scores from those particular sites, along with many other sites where they give you a free credit score, they use Vantage Score, which is a competing scoring system that was created by the credit reporting agencies to compete with FICO. So Vantage Score is not used like the FICO score. 90% of the top lenders use FICO score. So there's going to be a variation in your score. So if you get a Credit Karma score and you see that you have a 780 or 760, most likely your FICO score may be 30, 40 point difference from that. So I wouldn't go off of your Vantage scores. There's also educational scores. So be very cognizant of when you're checking your credit scores with other types of services like that. Okay, so now let's talk about credit scores. 680 to 739. If you just scraping by and you got a 680 on all 3 of your credit bureaus, you need to have a 680 on all 3, not on one, all 3. You're at the bare minimum. Okay, so that doesn't mean you're going to qualify for business credit card funding. Okay, that's just one of the factors that are requirements that we want to see. Now you'll see this is just a quick breakdown for you so you can realize the scoring, this is the probability of delinquency based on where you fall in your FICO scores, okay? So remember, from the bank's perspective, if you're in the 740 to 799 bracket, there's less than a 1% probability of delinquency that you're going to have, where if you're in the 800 score brackets or higher, you're a very strong candidate. You're very low risk, but that's just a score. It's just a number. It's an assessment. There's more with underwriters. They look at much more than just your credit scores. Okay, so the next thing they look at, the second most important factor for business credit card requirements, is the overall credit report. Okay, and this is what gets looked at. First is the length of credit history that you have. We have many people that come to us that want business credit card funding. They have a 740 FICO score, and they're like, I should be able to get tons of credit, but guess what? They only have a year's worth of credit history, or less than 2 years. That's a very limited history. There's just not enough history. Now, if you're thinking, well, what if I add an authorized user account that has 5 years or 10 years of history? AUs do not play a factor in this type of review. They help simply boost up the credit score, okay, but it will not help you. They look at primary accounts. They look at your primary accounts when it comes to length of credit history. So if you have less than 2 years of history, let's say you're fresh in and rebuilding your credit, and I'm talking active credit history, not past credit history, or let's say you're young and you're just starting out, If you have less than 2 years, you may be able to get a pre-approval, a small amount for business credit card funding, or you may have to build up some more history, get some more depth on your personal. So just be aware of that, but don't let that discourage you from submitting your report for a pre-qual, because it's a free review, doesn't cost you anything. There's no hard inquiry because you're submitting the credit report to us. The other thing is the types of accounts that you have on your credit report. We look at your mortgage. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have installment loans, or student loans? Do you have an auto loan? Do you have revolving credit cards? If you have no credit cards on your account, you're automatically going to get declined for business credit card funding, because there's no revolving credit card history for us to assess, for the banks to assess. Because remember, that's going to be the primary factor, because how you manage your personal credit cards is going to be a big factor on how you're going to manage your business credit cards. That's what banks are thinking. That's their thought process, okay? If you don't have a mortgage, that's okay. But these are all kind of the main things they look for. The number of active accounts you have on your personal credit report. Now, you want to have at least 12 or more. Ideally, 20 or more active accounts. Some of you are thinking, well, what does that mean? I need 20 credit cards? No. But ideally, you want to have at least 12. Only having 3 or 4 active accounts is a very small amount of activity, not a lot of depth, doesn't show you handle a lot of credit or finances. Okay, so the more accounts you have, the more credit worthiness it is for you, and the stronger you look towards a bank. That's just a fact. Okay, so it's very important that you realize the number. Now, don't go out there and start getting a whole bunch of credit cards and then come to us and say, well, I got 5 credit cards I just got in the past 60 days. Now I have 7 active accounts. Can I get business credit cards? It's not going to work that way. You're going to probably have to let those credit cards age for about a year before you go through a business credit card funding, because that's one of the factors is your new credit, recently opened accounts, etc., which I'll get into in a minute. Okay, so this is just things I want you to make sure you're aware of, so when we do a review, when you get a funding projection, these are the things that the banks look at. Your payment history. Do you have any late payments? How long ago was a late payment? Try to get those removed. If they're like a year or 2 years old, definitely work to get those resolved. Now, the recently opened accounts, this is your overall credit report. What I won't suggest is don't expect to qualify for business credit card funding if you just opened up 3 or 4 credit cards in the past 60 days. Not going to happen, okay? The banks are going to see that. They're going to see you're aggressively searching for credit. You're opening a lot of new accounts. So don't do that. If you open 1 credit card, let's say in the past 60 days, that's fine, okay? I wouldn't suggest it, but you don't want to have a lot of recently opened accounts, too much activity. A lot of people that come to us for business credit card funding get declined, and they see it's too much recent activity. They don't know what that means. Basically what that means, because that's on the letter when you get your review back from us, we provide you a pre-qual letter. We'll give an explanation as to why we are not giving you a funding projection. Okay, so unpaid collections. If you have any even small unpaid collections, those have to get paid. The underwriter is going to require you to pay it, even if it's a $200 little Verizon bill you had from 3 years ago and it's still unpaid. Pay it off. Get it as a paid collection. The banks do not want to will not issue you a business credit card with an unpaid collection. Okay, so that's your overall credit report. And then hard inquiries. This is a big factor when it comes to business credit card requirements, because people come to us wanting to get business credit card funding, and they've got 4 or 5 inquiries in the past 60 days, or the past 6 months they've got 5 inquiries. You're not going to qualify for business credit card funding. Ideally, you want to have less than 2 inquiries in the past 12 months. You don't want to have... Now, there is exceptions, though. If you just applied for a mortgage and in the past 30 days or 60 days and there's 4 or 5 inquiries from a mortgage, that's understandable, because we know you're shopping around for a mortgage. Same thing with an auto. Where it's going to hurt you if your card inquiries are credit card related, like you're applying for credit cards, for whether it's personal credit cards or business credit cards, and those are recent in the past 6 months. If you have multiple inquiries, that's a no-no, okay? Now, here's an example, though, of going over just the credit report of a client that we got 60,500 in business credit cards. This was a startup company, less than a year-old business. So he didn't have a lot of age to the business, but what he did have was good scores, 750 scores, okay? Had an auto and credit cards. No mortgage was reporting on this particular client, okay? The highest personal credit card they had was $24,000. It was a Navy Federal account, so that's a good card issuer. They had the account for 30 years. That's a huge factor. Remember I talked about the length of credit history? That's a 30-year credit history. Only 3 inquiries. 2 were a year old, and 1 was just about 2 years about to fall off. So, like I told you, inquiries, very small inquiries. So what does that show to the banks? That shows to the banks that this individual is not out there going after tons of credit, has a well-established history with a bank, has high limit credit card, does have auto, has great strong credit scores, great candidate for good business credit card funding. But here's the kicker. This client was 60 days one time late in the past 24 months. Had a 60-day late on 1 card and 1 30-day late on a previous auto loan. Okay, so do you want to know what? If the business was 2 years old, if these late payments were not on there, I could see this client getting 80 to 100,000 in business credit card funding. So just from those couple of those factors that right there, that impacted the amount of credit we can get for this client. So that's what I want you to learn of what the banks look for, what you need, how to really pay attention to your credit when you're going through business credit card funding. Let's talk about factor number 3 when it comes to business credit card requirements. This is a big factor in how much funding you're going to be able to get for your business, whether you're a startup or existing business, is your personal primary credit card accounts that you currently have right now that are active. Primary only. I'm not talking about AUs. AUs are also known as authorized user accounts, do not play a factor in underwriting. Underwriters know that what an AU account is. It even shows it on your credit report, authorized user. So they know that you're piggybacking. They know it's a strategy to increase your credit score, to show history, but what they pay attention to is your primary accounts where you're the primary account holder of that credit card. Okay, so that's the first thing they look at is your primary cards. What's the highest credit limit you have currently on where you're the primary active card user? Okay, so if you call me and say, well, how much credit card funding do you think I can get? Without looking at your report, that's the first thing I'm going to ask you. What's the highest credit card limit that you have where you're the primary? Okay, so if you told me $2,500 is the highest credit limit you had, or let's say you had a $10,000 credit card limit, big difference, okay? The next question is going to say, well, who issued the card to you? Okay, that's what the underwriters look at. Is it a major card issuer like Capital One, Discover, American Express? Or is it like a Finger Hut or a First Premier Bank, which is known as a high-risk bank card issuer? Okay, so these are factors that impact not just the size of your credit limit that you have, because we have people come to us who have a Finger Hut card or a gold jewelry card with a $25,000 credit limit. But that's like an online credit card with a lot of them, and they know it's a store card only. So that's the next thing, is the type of credit card that you have. Is it a store-only card? Is it a co-branded credit card? Is it a major credit card? Is it a charge card? Those are all factors that get looked at, okay? So if it's a store-only card, then that's obviously, that's much different than having a Visa or a MasterCard, because you can only use that card at that retail location. If it's a co-branded credit card, it's a little stronger because you can use it at the store and you probably get special discounts, but you also can use it anywhere. Let's say it's a Visa TJ Maxx card. That means you can use it anywhere Visa's accepted. So it's a co-branded credit card. If it's a major credit card, then that's another plus too. So these are all things that play a role into your credit card accounts. What we tell most people, what I want you to know is the highest credit limit you have on a credit card let's say it is a major bank card issuer, number one, and it is a credit card, not a store card. Typically, you could expect 4 to 5 times that amount in business credit card funding, total combined credit limits. But that's a very general statement, so there's much more involved like we're going to in this presentation. The age of the credit card plays a big role. We have people come to us, just got a Navy Federal credit card with a $25,000 credit limit, and it's less than a year old. Okay, that's great. You got Navy Fed, you got a $25,000 credit limit, but it's only a year old, so there's not a lot of history to it. And if that's the only card they have, that's the other thing we look at is the number of credit cards you have. So if you have one high limit credit card personally, and the next card you have is, let's say you have a $20,000 Navy Federal card, the next card you have is just a $500 secured card, that's a big difference. Whereas if you had a $25,000 Navy Federal card, you have a $15,000 Capital One, you have a $10,000 American Express. Do you see the difference on the strength of the credit file there? So that's another factor. The age of the account, the credit utilization that you're going to have on your credit card. That's another factor that gets looked at. Where are you at on your individual credit cards? Where are you on your credit utilization on your overall credit cards? And we're talking about credit utilization. We're only talking about revolving credit cards, not your entire loans and mortgage, etc. Just credit card utilization. We like to see you under 50%, ideally under 30%. If you're lower than that, it's even better. So you'll see if you're over 75% utilization on, let's say, one card, but you're at 0% on your other cards, that's good. Most likely we may have you transfer some of that debt and spread it out. What I suggest, though, if you're not sure what pay downs you should do, you're not sure where each card utilization should be, feel free to send in your report for us to review, and we'll give you those specific strategies, what we suggest our underwriters, what pay downs you need to do, what balances you need to move, etc. So you're in the perfect position to get the maximum amount of business credit card funding for your company. So that's one thing that we also do, is we provide you that guidance that no one else does. But you'll see the lower the utilization, the stronger candidate you're going to be for credit card funding for the business. Now, here's an actual client. This is just another example when it comes to credit utilization. It comes to this particular factors. Had good scores, 760. They had the trifecta mix of credit. They had a mortgage, auto, credit cards. This client got $95,000 in credit cards in less than 25 days for their business that was less than a year old. Imagine if the business was 2 years old. They would have got probably 130, 150,000. Now, the highest credit limit they had on a credit card was $17,000. It was a Chase account, major card issuer, good credit limit. Age was 12 years. So do you see the difference here? That's how you're getting these high credit limits. Is these factors that I'm talking to you about. Only 2 inquiries, and both of them were less than a year old. Remember we talked about inquiries? The age of the business is less than a year. Okay, so let's talk about factor number 4 for business credit card requirements is the actual business. Your age of the business is going to play a role in how much projections you're going to get in business credit card funding. So if you're a brand new startup to the bank size, you're the most riskiest business of all. Okay, so whereas if you have a 2-year-old business and you have strong personal credit, it's less of a risk than a business that was just incorporated yesterday. So we have business owners that come to us and say, well, I have a company that's 3 years old, and I'm thinking about forming a new company. Which company should I use? I want to build business credit for both of them, but which one would I get the most funding for? The answer easily is a 3-year-old company compared to forming a brand new company right away. Okay, so the age of the business is going to play a role. Outstanding debt of your current business that you're trying to get business credit card funding for. Does it have lots of debt? Another thing, does it have a business credit identity? Does it have a business credit file established? If it doesn't, don't worry about it. This program is designed to help you build your business credit file. Okay, but if it has a credit file, that's a plus. Okay, existing business credit card accounts. Do you have existing business credit cards for the company you're trying to get business credit card funding for? That also plays a role in your projection. Now, your banking relationship. Do you have a bank account for the business? That's important. Your business needs to have a bank account established. It doesn't have to have an aged business account, but it does need to have one. Let's talk about these next 5 factors are going to play a big role in your funding projections, and I want to make sure this is information that's going to really help you because in decisions, because we get business owners that call us all the time. They're not sure, should I use I have this company, I want to use a credit partner because my credit's bad, etc. So out-of-state business entity. Let's say you formed your company in a different state. Let's say you use a Nevada corporation, or you're incorporated in California. Now you're operating in Florida, let's say. Expect a 33% less in credit card funding for your business if your business, the entity, is formed in a state outside of the state that you, the owner, or the personal guarantor, whoever's on the application, lives in. Okay, so this is a perfect example. You have a business that's incorporated in California, let's say, and you're the owner. You live in California, but you have a credit partner that you're going to use with the company that lives in, let's say, Florida. Okay, so the credit partner lives in Florida, but is the credit partner for the company that was incorporated in California. You're going to get a 33% less in funding because of that. Some of you are saying, well, why is that? That's how the banks are operating. That's what they look at. Okay, so it's not something I put in stone. It's what we're experiencing through all clients going through business credit card funding, etc. This is what's going in today's credit age. Now, 6 is the business address. The business address is someone else's home. Now, that doesn't mean it's wrong to use a personal address as your business address. You could do that. Okay, where you're going to get an impact is if the business address is a personal address and the credit partner or the guarantor the personal address doesn't match the business address. Okay, so you're going to see a 25% less in funding. Okay, so here, let me kind of run that through for you. Let's say you incorporated the business in Florida. Okay, you have a Florida company incorporated, you live in Florida, okay? And your business, you put on the business address is your personal address. But you have bad personal credit, so you have a credit partner that lives in Wyoming, let's say. And your credit partner or family member or spouse wants a be a co-signer and wants a credit partner for your business, and they live in Wyoming, and they're going to use, and their personal address is in Wyoming, but your business is a personal address that's in Florida. See, that's the difference, okay? So that's something I want you to be aware of. Let's talk about factor number 7 when it comes to business credit card requirements. The second business entity. So if you have 2 businesses and your second business, let's say the first business you have has business debts, it has outstanding loans, etc., and you want to go through business credit card funding for your new business, okay? You're going to get 25% less in business credit card funding if your first company has outstanding debts, okay? So that does happen. So I want to make sure you're aware of this factor that impacts business credit card funding. Factor number 8 for business credit card requirements is if you have an old bankruptcy. This happens all the time. If you have a bankruptcy and it was deleted off your credit report and you filed for bankruptcy 5 years ago, the banks are still going to know you filed bankruptcy. Why? Because on the credit application, it clearly asks if you filed bankruptcy before. So you have to say yes, you have filed. So they'll find out whether it's on your credit report or not. For business credit card funding, though, the BKs have to be over 10 years old. Okay, so if you have a BK, let's say that's 9 years out, 8 years out, but you've done a great job reestablishing your personal credit, definitely send it through and we'll still see if we can get you business credit card funding. I'm not saying you cannot get it. They're really going to look strongly, though, at your reestablished personal history. But I don't want you to think that because it's not showing on your business credit report anymore that they're not going to know. They will know, okay, because it has to be disclosed on the credit app for the bank. Number 9, using a P.O. box. Whether for your home or your business, this is just kind of like a factor that it's something you don't want to do. You don't want to put a P.O. box on your personal address or on your business address. You don't want to do that. Why? It's I don't like to use the word credit flag, but it's a security flag for the banks. They're going to initiate additional security verification protocols when issuing a business credit card for a company or an individual who has a P.O. box. They'll have phone verification procedures. So you're going to go through more security measures to get that card approved through our process if you use a PO box. So my suggestion: don't use PO boxes. Okay. Now, 10 is security freeze and fraud alerts. If you have a security freeze or fraud alert on your personal credit report, that has to be removed prior to going through business credit card funding. Okay, so if you pulled your report, you sent it to us for pre-qualification, we gave you a good funding projection, you're like, great, I'm ready to move forward. Well, you have to remove that security freeze before we start the funding process for you. Our business credit card funding process takes about 14 to 20 days, and then you're done. Okay, now those are the top 10 factors that when it comes to business credit card funding, those are the requirements that I wanted to share with you to educate you so you have an idea of how to best strategize when submitting your reports to us for business credit card funding. So how do you start the pre-qualification process for business credit card funding? Number one, it's completely free for us to do a projection for you. Doesn't cost you anything, okay? So the first thing you want to do is order your credit report. It doesn't have to be a tri-merge report. You can go to creditreportengine.com. One thing I want to make sure you point out, do not upload your summary report, okay? So when you order your report, upload your full Experian report. That's fine. We'll accept that. We cannot do a review on a summary report. A summary report just shows your credit scores, a quick overview of the report, but it doesn't give us all the data. Our underwriters need to see the data. They need to see each account, what the payment history is for each account, and the inquiries, everything. They need to see a full credit report. And it has to be in PDF format. It cannot be a JPEG. It cannot be an image file. It has to be a PDF format document. Once you download the report, and just so you know how you do that, on creditreportengine.com, once you log in, there's a print report option, okay? You select the drop-down arrow, and then where it says print Experian report, you're going to select that and print to PDF, okay? So that'll allow you to print that report in PDF format. Once you've done that, save it on your computer, then go to businesscreditbuilders.org/pre-qualification. You're going to fill out that form, upload your credit report. This is a secure site, by the way. And the funding, you'll get an email confirmation, and it'll take us about 24 to 48 hours to call you back with the results of your funding review. We'll give you business credit card projections. We'll give you a free consultation. And from there, we'll send you out the agreement if you're ready to move forward with funding. So I expect about 24 to 40 hours for us to complete the review. With that, I want to thank you very much for listening to this presentation on business credit card requirements. Give us a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. That way you're going to be notified every time we come out with funding videos, building business credit, how to maximize your funding potential as a business owner, as a real estate investor. Also be sure to check us out, businesscreditblogger.com, for free information. And our main site is businesscreditbuilders.org. With that, make it a great day. We'll talk to you real soon.